Hey, welcome to an episode of Tales from the Crate. Gonna do a 5x5 for you, right? I don't know. 5x5, but I'm gonna do 5 recent pickups and 5 recent pickups, so 10 recent pickups. And the only reason I'm doing that is just because I have 10 recent pickups and it makes kind of sense for this week. And then we'll move back to kind of the 2 5x5s. The first one I was really stoked to get. I don't think these have actually been released yet, like in your local record stores or your online retailers. I ordered from the band's Bandcamp about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, and I've kind of been waiting, just figured they get here. I never got a shipping notification, and they showed up this week, and I can't tell you how happy I am. I always struggle with this band's name. I've never really had anyone tell me exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced. I'm not great at this. Les Ralizes de Nudists, I guess. Japanese psych band, very, very famous. The Oz tapes came out last year. I'm sure some of you picked that up. So these are kind of their 3 official releases as a band that are seeing kind of nice vinyl replus. These came on clear. I don't know if they come on clear standards. That was a Bandcamp thing. But you have Mizuntani, I guess is how you say it. And this was recorded in 1970, but wasn't released until 1991. Then we have Live in Studio and Live 67 to 69. Again, 1991 CD release, but recorded in 68, 69. And then we have this triple live set. Trying to get a good look at it there. Again, 1991, recorded in 77 live. It's hard to explain. I think it kind of falls into that Japanese psych category, but Japanese psych, kind of like Velvet Underground is kind of psych. There's also some kind of pastoral folk pieces. And there's kind of some avant-garde kind of noise pieces. It really works well as an album. And if you have any interest in this music, I think I would really encourage you to hop on the represses now, because like all represses, I'm sure they're going to go away at some point, but really worth checking out. I'll do a little needle drop of something for you to test out, but very, very much worth it. So next up is one I've actually been looking for a while. I got to be honest, I got a lot of gripes with my online sellers recently. I have a kind of policy that I only buy from sellers with 100% rating. And when I don't, I mean, not always, 90% of the time I do. When I don't, I always really kind of comb through the feedback that they have and see what it is. And if it's misgraded items, I usually steer clear. This seller at 100% rating labeled this as near mint, just beautiful. Probably a strong VG plus. Like, I'm not going to return it. I don't know if I'll find another copy. And it's one I've been looking for a while. But this is T-Bone Walker, T-Bone Blues. This is the T-Bone Walker album you need if you want T-Bone Walker. I have some comp stuff, and I think I have just some kind of random, and I think technically this is a comp too. But T-Bone Walker, early kind of blues guitar player, a lot cleaner sound than a lot of guys that would follow him. And he definitely has the voice of a crooner. So not like a gravelly John Lee Hooker, Albert King, or B.B. King kind of voice. But you'll know some of these words, some of these tunes, excuse me. You'll know, you'll probably know Shufflin' the Blues, T-Bone Blues. You'll know Stormy Monday Blues. A lot of just kind of great songs on here. I think the cover's really cool. I'm a blues guy at heart. I always have been, and blues was one of the first things I really went after pretty heavy on vinyl when I started in the 90s. And so I have a pretty decent blues collection. And it's just, I've been looking for this one for a while and haven't been able to come across it, but very happy to add this to the pile.
They call it stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad. Yes, they call it stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad.
So next up, I actually had this on vinyl previously. I was robbed once. I think I've probably told this story. I had a family member who was a recovering drug addict who, I cared for. They're my family member, and they had been doing well. And I let them and their son move in with me, and basically stole a bunch of my stuff, took off, and left me their son for a few years. And he's a good kid. He's an adult now. It's actually crazy too, man. But some of the stuff that was stolen were CDs and records, and I was able to recover some of it, but not all of it. And unfortunately, this is just one I wasn't able to recover, and I've always wanted to pick it up again, and I finally found a copy, and it's Ben Harper and the Blind Boys of Alabama. I went through actually a really big Ben Harper phase, and I still like Ben Harper. I've kind of stopped following his career in the last few years, and I've always enjoyed like the Blind Boys of Alabama, and I think this is a really nice pairing of the two, where neither really dominate. The sound, it's kind of actually a really nice mix. I think Lennon Claypool Delirium is very similar. Like they kind of temper each other and kind of balance the sound out. I feel that way with this album, which, probably is a good thing. I think Ben Harper is a very talented guy. I think sometimes, he can go off track. I think the Blind Boys of Alabama, very talented, but, it's a lot of the same at times. So it's a really nice kind of pairing of the two. Was very stoked to find this. I actually, when I ordered it from the seller, I got a good deal on it. He just said near mint, and it was still sealed. And I might not have ordered it if I know it was still sealed. I think still sealed gamble albums are a little bit of a gamble. You never know what you're going to get, particularly when they've been sitting around for 20 plus years. But pretty good condition. There is some stuff, but not bad enough that I would return it. So I'm gonna give you a little taste of Ben Harper and the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Work to serve you, and I hope I've served you well. Oh, I've lived a life to join you, and now only in time will tell. Won't you take my hand when you are worried? Take my hand when you're alone. Take my hand and let me guide you. Take my hand and lead you home.
All right, next up is an artist I really like, and this is an album that I did not have. And I think the funny thing is, out of the two albums, I think this one's easier to find, and I just never see it. I'm not sure why. And it's between the two albums that I'm familiar with the artist, it's my least favorite of the two, so works for me. But I wanted to add it to the collection, and I do like it. James White and the Blacks. It's actually James Chance and the Contortions. The first album is Bye. Bye is phenomenal. It's a no-wave, kind of chaotic masterpiece. It's a lot of free jazz meets alternative, and it's the same shtick here, but it's supposed to be kind of like nightclubby, kind of disco-y. I don't think it's bad. I mean, I like it. I'm sorry. I'm saying I don't think it's bad makes it sound like it's not. It's actually a really good album. I think the disco beats are actually pretty tight. I still like that he does some of his kind of screechy saxophone stuff. He does recover some of the same songs, like Contort Yourself being the one that probably best known. I prefer the other version. This one's a little more polished. I like the little more chaotic. This one is not too expensive or hard to find. Bye, I think, is a little harder to find, a little more pricey. But Superior Viaduct did a really nice repress of Bye, so go get that while it's in stock. But really like James Chance. I think he's completely underrated. Really wish there was more stuff. There are some crazy CD comps of stuff that I wish would get vinyl pressings. I love his Christmas song, Christmas Time in Hell. A lot of cool stuff, man. James Chance, I think, very talented guy. So.
It's better than pleasure. It's more than pain. I've got what it takes to drive you insane. Now is the time to lose all control. Distort your body, and twist your soul.
All right, out of all my recent pickups, this is probably the one I struggle with the most, and I'm trying to decide what to do, and I'll explain why. And it does very first world problems and does make me sound like a bit like a baby. So this is a song. This is an album everybody knows, and I'm not going to do a needle drop for this. Everybody knows Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. So I started buying records when I was like 13. And I bought them because they were cheap, ironically. They were $1, $2, $3 a piece. And I was just able to buy all the Dylan for $25, where a CD alone would cost me $25. So I bought a lot of this stuff. And I probably didn't have as discerning of an eye for picking up quality vinyl at the time. It was also cheap. If I need to buy one now for $3 and replace it later for $3, who cared? But in the last few years, I've kind of gone through my Stones, my Beatles, and really just trying to make sure I have nice, clean copies of that stuff that I really do like, and, you know, is out there. I mean, they sold millions of copies. But Blood on the Tracks is one that I don't think has a phenomenal pressing. I know there's the half speed master out there, and I had a pretty rough copy of it for a while. I couldn't get past the roughness to enjoy it. And so I actually have a Japanese pressing that I bought in a collection that I was really stoked for, but somewhere there's something on that Japanese pressing that looks pristine. I mean, I cannot figure it out, where it'll send it into a repeated loop on side B, and it drives me insane. And then I have like the thin, what is it? Is it CBS? Is it Columbia? I'm blanking off the top of my head. I want to say it's Columbia. The thin red label that you can kind of, you know, it's Dynaflex-ish. And I feel like a lot of his other albums you could get on the 2i, the earlier Columbia 2i, which were really nice. You know, I've been able to find really nice pressings of everything else except for this one. So I finally sprung for the MoFi, and I know MoFi is a little, you know, I know people have feelings about MoFi at the moment in time, but I had done a lot of reading that this was a nice pressing, thick vinyl. Seller has 100%, said, oh, it's beautiful, stunning, just the copy you want. So I pulled the trigger. I gotta say, I think it's a solid VG plus. I don't think it's near mint, and I paid for a near mint. So I'm struggling a little bit, and it's hard to justify because it's not huge stuff. It's minor background noise here and there. I think there's a tick at one point. It looks pretty clean aside from some light kind of hairlines, but it just frustrates me because it was sold as this beautiful near mint. I don't think it lives up to it, but I'm happy to have it. I'm got to figure out what I'm going to do. I might send it back to him by another. I don't know. But I need a nice clean copy of a good pressing of Blood on the Track. So that's what we got here. So the next one, again, probably not a shocker. And I do own an earlier pressing of this, but I buy it because I really like this company. And this is Burden by John Lee Hooker, and this is on Kraft. I like Kraft Records. I think they do a beautiful job. I love John Lee Hooker. He is one of my favorite musicians of all time. I've done a lot of different, I did different videos, and I've shown different John Lee Hooker, and I think I'm actually kind of sitting in front of it. There's a huge stack of John Lee Hooker back there for me. But I mean, you get classics here like Boom Boom, Lost a Good Girl, Blues Before Sunrise, Drugstore Woman, What Do You Say? I mean, just great album overall. I really would encourage you to go pick this up on Kraft, while it's still available and very affordable. I don't think Kraft is one that has crazy exorbitant prices, so check that out.
You right down, right off of your feet. Take you home with me, put you in my house. Boom, 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 boom. Ow, how, how. Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up is a bit of a weird one. Unless this is in your wheelhouse, I probably actually wouldn't tell you to run out and buy it. I really like it. I like song. let me do a caveat there. So I picked up the Entrance Band. I actually have a lot of Entrance Band on CD because it was coming out in the 90s and I was buying it at my local kind of record CD store. And I like Entrance Band. It's Entrance or Entrance Band. When it's Entrance, it's just one guy whose name I am blanking on and I'm trying to find it and I can't. And then Entrance Band is a full band. It can be very cool, kind of folky psychedelic stuff, and it can be very kind of contrived and I don't know, almost self-important and arrogant at points. So you can't buy it all on vinyl. There's only 2 or 3 available on vinyl, and I have one that I picked up in LA a few years ago, and this is the one that follows that. So the reason I wanted this album, though, is because it has Grim Reaper Blues Part 2. Part 1 is on the other album I have, and I think the album is called Grim Reaper Blues, which I think is a phenomenal song. Very cool. Got a good price on it, and so worth picking up for me. So Entrance Band, I'll give you a little taste of Grim Reaper Blues. So another online purchase. I have been trying to shore up some of my Don Cherry collection. I actually have a lot of Don Cherry, and I have some of the titles that are harder to find because if anyone ever watched the Old Man Corner, Bob, who owned a record store here, was a big jazz guy and was selling his own. And I picked up a lot of his Don Cherry, and he had some of the harder to find albums. You know, the ones with Moki Cherry doing the cover. And I really love it. And this one has just always kind of eluded me for some reason. And so I was very excited to pick up a copy of Eternal Rhythm. Ironic thing here, I did buy this from a seller who doesn't have 100%. I think it was 99 point something. And the feedback wasn't generally about grading. It was more about like shipping speed and stuff like that. So I pulled the trigger. Probably the most accurately described LP I got. Very clean. Really happy to add this to the collection. Don Cherry, you know, played with Ornette Coleman, did a ton of solo stuff. He's got a record with Coltrane, and he's doing like, the guy can play anything, but he's doing a lot of cornet, and I don't even know if he actually plays the trumpet on here. I mean, you're right here, bamboo flute, metal flute, plastic flute, Haitian guard, cornet, gender, and sarin, Bengali flute. You know, a lot of different sounds there. And then it also has Sonny Chirac, who is one of my favorite jazz guitar players. And I felt like I got a nice deal on this. Japanese pressing, very clean. Don Cherry is it's more avant-garde jazz, more kind of free jazz. But if you're looking for something, I actually think Don Cherry is probably easier to get into than Ornette Coleman, and I may get hung for saying that, though I love Ornette Coleman. That's not a slight against him. But Don Cherry, I'll give you a little taste of something off Eternal Rhythm. So next one, not hard to find. I'm pretty sure you can get online and buy this. I don't think it costs a ton of money. It's 20 bucks or below. I've talked about how I think soul music, jazz music, and country music are having a really nice revival. They were kind of overproduced, kind of popified, if you will, in the 90s and early 2000s. And so there's this movement back to kind of roots. And I really like the country kind of revival. I like Colter Wall. I like, Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers. I know there's a bunch others. Charlie Crockett. I know there's a bunch others I'm not thinking of. And he fits in this vein. And Billy over at Riverbend Records, I don't know if Billy still has a channel. I need to look. But he owns a record store now. He actually, I think, was the one that kind of started posting about this and turned me on. It's Vincent Neil Emerson. He's got 2 albums. I believe this is his first of the 2. I really love the song 25 and Wasting Time, which is the kickoff on side A. And it's just kind of that old country throwback, kind of outlaw country, singer-songwriter, nice, slide steel going in the background. Not hard to find, not expensive, worth your time. I'll give you a little bit of taste of 25 and Wasting Time.
Well, I quit drinking yesterday. I left my job down at the pay and say, I ain't gonna let them have my day. Well, I'm too young to be this way. I married Georgia back in May. Got 2 and 1 more on the way. I figure I'll give myself a break. I don't care what her daddy say. 25 and wasting time. Ain't never been outside of this county line. Hey, I'm gonna be here till I die. I'll meet you on that by and
by. And number 10, my last one is actually a box set, and it's the Chrome box. I was able to pick up a copy of this. So Chrome is, Helios Creed's the guitar player. Chrome is krautrock psychedelic kind of stuff. Probably not that far from Can, a little noisier than Can, a little more aggressive than Can. I really like them. Their represses are all on the Cleopatra label, which is a kind of a budget line label, if it's fair to say. And I've always wanted this box set, and I've seen it a few times, but I've never seen a clean one. And even the box here is pretty rough, but the vinyl is, they all range at least VG plus to near mint. They're good, clean set. I was actually listening to it earlier today. If you follow my Instagram, you saw some of these albums because I've been listening to them. And on this, you get Chronicles 1 and 2, No Humans Allowed, Blood on the Moon, Half Machine Lip Moves, and Alien Soundtrack, which is a good core of their best stuff. And it's just krautrock freakout stuff. Really cool. It can be noisy. It can be abrasive. Like, I didn't get as far into listening to this as I wanted to. I think my wife and kids were kind of like, Dad, what are we doing? But fascinating stuff. And so I'll give you a little taste of Chrome. And that's it. That is our Tales for the Crate this week. I really appreciate you hanging out. If you're a new sub, I appreciate you subbing. I appreciate the comments and the feedback down in the section below. Those are 10 of my recent pickups. You can always check out my radio show on KBSR Black Sparrow Digital Radio. There's a link tree down there. You can find how to download the app. I am 2 Central, noon Pacific on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is a little bit more the rockin' show. Sunday a little bit more the relax show. So if you have time, check it out. Always appreciate it. And that's about it. I really do appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you next time.